Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Cox. I'm a member of the Netcapital team. Let's allow one moment for folks to settle in, please. Thank you so much. While we are waiting, and a bunch of people are coming to the line right now. This is great. Feel free to use the chat feature. Tell us where you're calling from. We have Southern California represented here. We have Tennessee. We have North Carolina. We have Georgia on the line right now. So feel free to hop into the chat and tell us where you're calling in from. Love seeing geographic diversity on the Zooms. There. Q&A feature open here. Chat. I hope wherever anybody's calling from, everybody's staying safe, enjoying the first day of fall. Oh, we got folks from the UK and going international here. Love to see that. Welcome, welcome. I said Southern California only. I lied. I forgot we have Bay Area folks on the line as well. And we got Toronto. I love seeing international come in. That's cool. Toronto, beautiful city. Beautiful city. All right. Folks are still trickling in, but we got a bunch in here, so we can go ahead and get started. Welcome again. Today, I'm excited to welcome 4 companies to the line. We have Avadain, Next Power 360, Real Analytics, and Lightning Motorcycle. As always, each of these companies are actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. I'm going to go ahead and add a link to each into the chat in just a moment. But we are going to actually begin with Brad from Avadain. So let me go ahead and check this out. Before we dig into you, Brad, I'm super sorry. Quick housekeeping items. Please do use the Q&A feature built into Zoom. I know there's also the chat feature that I just told you about. That's great for things like telling us where you're calling from. But if you could use the Q&A, that is definitely the easiest way to track the questions as they come in. And that way we can get to as many of them as possible. And please do ask your questions. We want to keep this as interactive as possible. We are here for you. So go ahead and jump into the Q&A, ask your questions, and I'm going to get to as many of them as possible. Okay. With all that being said, please join me in welcoming Brad with Avadain to the stage. Come on in, Brad. Tell us a little bit about what you're building here.
Great. Well, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, Eric, and it's great to be here today. And I wanted to thank all of our investors who I see who've joined, quite a group of them. So thanks everyone for being here. So today, let's talk about graphene. It's just a few atomic layers of graphite, which is best known as pencil lead. High-quality graphene is the strongest, lightest, most thermally and electrically conducting material ever discovered. The Wall Street Journal calls graphene an important pending point in high tech as silicon and computer chips. The New Yorker says graphene may be the most remarkable substance ever discovered. And America's #1 tech futurist, George Gilder, says graphene will create an $11.5 trillion market. Graphene will soon touch the lives of almost every person every day. There are thousands of uses for graphene. Adding a tiny amount of graphene can transform literally thousands of products across key growth industries. Think of an electric vehicle battery that can charge in minutes instead of hours. The body of a commercial jet can be 30% lighter, yet stronger. The solar cell can have a greater than 50% light to electricity conversion efficiency. Welcome Netcapital investors to the graphene age. So why hasn't graphene already changed the world? It's simple. There is no source for large, thin, and nearly defect-free graphene flakes in industrial quantities at affordable cost. LTDF graphene flakes are what industries need to impart high strength and outstanding conductivity. Instead, more than 200 companies manufacture suboptimal materials marketed as graphene that really just don't deliver. Avadain has the solution. It's a green, globally patented, and highly differentiated platform technology to reliably manufacture LTDF graphene flakes from inexpensive graphite. We believe Avadane's superior quality flakes should meet the need of about 80% of a $100 billion market. Graphene hit its commercial inflection point last year. Every week saw the use of low quality graphene in low tech products. This increased to almost one new product every day this year. We believe that no one can supply LTDF graphene flakes in significant quantities to meet the pent up demand. In fact, we believe we have the only technology to meet the needs of deep tech, clean tech, industrial, space, and defense companies. This creates a huge market opportunity for Avadane. Let's talk about competitive landscape. You can think of graphene as millions of layers of graphite bonded tightly together. Our technology gently separates those layers. An intermediate material called nanoplatelets is between 11 and 3,000 atomic layers. Real graphene, however, is 10 or fewer atomic layers. And this is where it gets really interesting. Graphene's fantastic strength begins at 30 microns in lateral flake size. The smaller, the more brittle. Researchers at Bosch report that the larger the lateral flake size, the better the electrical conductivity. Additionally, the larger the flake, the better the dispersion as an additive. That's why so many industries want LTDF graphene flakes. There are more than 200 companies in this lower left box, but these materials lack graphene's disruptive properties. Avadane is the only company with a known technology capable of creating LTDF graphene flakes in industrial volumes. That's why legendary stock picker George Gilder calls Avadane a simply irresistible investment opportunity. Intellectual property is key to Avadane's success. We hired the US's #1 law firm, Fish and Richardson, to handle our patenting and filed 5 patent applications, and we are continuing to patent. Our first patent has been granted in 12 countries and is pending in 9 more. We own all of our IP. Avadane is pursuing a licensing strategy because it's capital light and it allows Avadane to quickly and flexibly scale. We plan to license our technology to advanced materials manufacturers, chemical companies, and companies with a mission critical need for graphene. They will manufacture tons of graphene flakes and sell them to their existing customers as well as new ones. We hope to sign our first licensing agreement this year. Our technology was developed by the Fraunhofer Institute for Applied Solid-State Physics between 2016 and 2020. It is proven in a batch process to reliably and consistently produce LTDF graphene flakes with a greater than 70% yield. It was peer-reviewed in 2019. In May 2022, Southwest Research Institute began upscaling to mass production and made a major technology breakthrough in February. We expect to demonstrate continuous production in December. A pilot plant will be engineered into a commercial scale design package for licensees in the first half of next year. Management is critical to success, and we have an excellent seasoned team. My expertise is in management and technology licensing, including new technologies. Erica has an MBA and is expert in managing the finances of early stage companies as well as technology valuation. Phil has a chemical engineering degree and spent the first 17 years of his career in advanced materials at DuPont, where he managed the introduction of numerous new chemicals. He later joined GE in a senior marketing position and has held different roles in several private equity-backed businesses. Erica, Phil, and I have worked together on and off for more than 20 years. This is Sarah's baby. She led the team at Fraunhofer that created this technology and did her PhD thesis on it. And Bill Grieco is a PhD from MIT in chemical engineering. He is expert in nanomaterials as well as scaling from batch to mass production in one step. Avadane has broad and diverse funding sources and a clean cap table. We've attracted more than $10 million, including $3.87 million in non-dilutive grants. Panasonic has backed Avadane's technology since 2017. Last year, we raised $1.36 million from crowdfunding. Avadane is currently in a second crowdfunding round on Netcapital, and thanks to our loyal investors, we have raised more than $2.5 million, putting us in the top 1.4% of all crowdfunding campaigns since crowdfunding began. We have no debt, no convertible notes, and no preferred shareholders. As for our exit, once we have 10 licensed production lines, they're up and running, we project $200 million in annual recurring revenue. At this point, we believe Avadain will become an attractive acquisition target at 5 to 15 times revenue. We are working towards making this happen between 2026 and 2028. Graphene is about to disrupt dozens of industries by making products stronger, lighter, conductive, and more durable. Avadain is the only known company with technology capable of producing industrial volumes of the high-quality graphene industries need and are waiting for. Demand is exploding. Our licensing model will help us rapidly and flexibly dominate the market. We have great partners like Panasonic, a very experienced and driven management team, a highly differentiated platform technology, global patents, and a strong financial base. Netcapital investors, why don't you just get on board and join us in launching the graphene revolution?
Thank you so much for that, Brad. I appreciate the presentations. Yeah, why don't you? A couple of great questions came in while you're presenting, so we could dig right into those. Have you received any input from companies that have tested your graphene samples? And then how many companies have received samples? Can you share some details about that experience? Thanks.
Sure. The sampling process is a process of trial and error. In our federal grant, we have two specific partners who we've been working with the longest. One is the University of Arkansas, which is using our graphene in an ultra-sensitive sensor that they're developing to detect live coronaviruses particles in situ in real time. And our second partner is FlextraPower, which is creating an N99 face mask. And so these are the partners who we have the most experience with. The University of Arkansas has reported that they have been able to have up to a 1,000 times increase in sensitivity using our graphene. And FlextraPower is still in the process of working, but showing very, very positive results in getting toward a breathable N99 mask.
Super exciting applications there. People can definitely agree on that, I think. And more questions. What are the factors that limit Avadain to committing to a certain number of licenses per year? Interesting question.
Well, it's really a question of operational excellence. We need to take this in bite sizes. With experience, we've learned over the years that you want your first licensee to be up, running, and successful. So our plan has been one licensee this year, have them manufacture graphene flakes that go into the market, work out whatever bugs there are in the manufacturing system, have 3 more manufacturing licensees next year, and then begin to scale after that. In that way, we can assure operational excellence and that we have customer satisfaction.
That makes sense. Love it, being really thoughtful about your rollout. Quality control is always really important in a space like this, especially. Awesome. We're going to keep going here. I can't help but think about Kevlar materials as you spoke about graphene. How different is that material from Kevlar? And are there similar applications? Fun question.
Yeah, graphene is very different from Kevlar. Kevlar is a material. Graphene is an additive to materials. So when we talk about our graphene, we think of adding it to things. And one of the main uses that came immediately to mind when we first began more than 2 years ago thinking about applications for our graphene was for body armor, for ballistic protection for the Department of Defense. And we ran right into a roadblock, which was that the Defense Department had tested suboptimal quality graphene and found that it was brittle. And that had to do with the fact that it was very small lateral flake size, and it had oxygen defects. So of course it was brittle. So one of the things we've been trying to do is play an educational role with the Defense Department about what graphene can do. Now, the other half of the question, yes, absolutely. When the time comes, meaning when we have our manufacturing partners up and running and all the top tier applications are being filled, then as a secondary set of end user customers, will look at things like body armor. And it can be added to many different materials, not just Kevlar, to give lightweight, flexibility, and incredible ballistic resistance.
Super helpful. So yeah, exactly. So they coordinate a little bit, and it's a really helpful tool to be able to talk about the add-ons. And that's not just for Kevlar, but other materials as well. Um, Somebody missed something. It sounds like you mentioned a major breakthrough in 2023, and they're not sure what that was. Do you recall, Brad, some of the updates that you were
Sure,
sharing about 2023?
absolutely. And we have that on our website. And there was, in fact, a webinar we held on April 27th. Just email us at Avadain Graphene, and we can certainly send you the link to that webinar we did on April 27th of this year. But the critical limiting factor to go from batch to mass production was the size of the cathode. This is an electrochemical process. Anode, positive charge, solvent, the electricity goes through the solvent to the cathode. Graphite sits in intimate contact with the cathode. And so we were able, well, not us, I don't want to take any personal credit for it because I had nothing to do with it. Selfos Research Institute came up with a novel material which is actually used for other purposes and found that it was an even more effective cathode material. And so the technology breakthrough was the ability to have a very large size cathode, really unlimited size cathode that efficiently exfoliated the graphene in less time. And so that was our aha moment in upscaling to mass production.
Super exciting. I think I had the pleasure of hosting that live Q&A we did together. There's a bunch of good material in there. So definitely, if you had missed that, you can go to Netcapital's YouTube account and you can review that, or you could obviously coordinate with Brad to get that info. But do not hesitate to reach out. A couple last questions before we move on to our other panelists here. Can you share more details about the Panasonic relationship, and have they invested? Is there a plan for them to potentially invest? And then I'd love to do a whole separate conversation about why crowdfunding and what that experience has been like with you, because they tied those together. But Panasonic relationship and any conversations about funding there.
Absolutely. The company that I have and we've put into dormancy because we're working on Avadain is called Bastille, and Bastille represents universities and research institutions all over the world. And every year we tried to pick two or three or maybe four technologies that we think can be potentially disruptive. And Panasonic, for a long time, has co-invested with me in those new technologies. We invested in the Avadain technology at Fraunhofer when it was being really discovered and worked on in very early stages. We invested at that time $250,000. The next year, Panasonic was excited about it. They came in and invested $1.35 million. So so when Fraunhofer finished their work in 2020, they handed that over to Panasonic and to Bastille, and together we decided to form Avadain. And so that's the beginning of the involvement of Panasonic and Bastille, which was my team.
Thanks for those details. And then I do want to follow back. And then, so why equity crowdfunding? Why working with Netcapital? I mean, outside of the obvious, Panasonic came with a little over $1 million, and you've raised like a little bit for three more than that with us so far. But what other reasons brought you
Well,
to this?
I just did an hour and a half podcast yesterday on that very topic. So let me just say that crowdfunding platforms have different strengths and weaknesses. What I like about Netcapital is that it's focused on deep tech. And the people who I believe are investing in net capital companies are interested in deep tech. And so that was one of the drivers for us, at least in the first round. Now, in the second round, it's because we have a lot of personal relationship, hands-on relationship with the Net Capital team. And our team and the Net Capital team work together very closely. It's a fantastic relationship. And together with our marketing agency, DNA, I attribute that relationship, those partnerships, for our success.
Thank you so much for digging into that. Yeah, definitely check out the rest of the details about why Reg CF that Brad did on the webinar. Okay, last little bit here, and we got to keep the party moving here. Is the production green? What is the base product sourcing and an impact on the environment?
It is a green process, and there's no negative impact on the environment. Actually, overall, it's a positive impact. The feedstock is graphite, which is pencil lead. Currently, that's used in a wide variety of applications. We take atomic layers of that and transform the product into this miracle material, graphene. There are no harsh chemicals, no toxic gases, no byproducts. It is a green process, which we're very proud of.
Incredibly important, especially as you're helping with all sorts of water purification with this technology, really focused on the green and the environmental impact. Last piece, if you had a magic wand, and this could go for anybody, what is one thing that folks can do to help you other than financing, other than cash? I want to have to pepper that in for other folks too.
Well, I think it's really just spreading the word. We have, have put in $0 in sales and marketing, and yet we have companies coming to us all the time, like literally almost every day, asking if they can buy our graphene. And the fact is, we're not going to ever manufacture graphene and sell it. We're going to license it to companies, chemical companies, advanced materials companies, to manufacture tons of the graphene. So we don't compete with our licensees, but by spreading the word about graphene and about Avadain, it brings companies to us that we can then refer to our manufacturing partners.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that conversation. Thank you so much for the really thoughtful questions, team. Thank you, Brad, for being a panelist. Appreciate you sharing about Avadain.
Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. Let's going to keep the party going here with Power 360. Michael Shore, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're building here?
Okay. Thank you. And I just want to make sure. Oh, so my slide deck is up. If you can give me the thumbs up, Eric.
Looks great. Yep.
Okay, great. So Nextpower 360 is a wind technology company. The wind industry is a $100 billion sector that's expected to double in size over the next 10 years. So there's many great opportunities in the wind industry. I'm CEO and co-founder of the company, and we are solving $1 billion problem for the wind industry. And to understand that problem, we can start by looking at data from a wind farm site. So this graph, we have time on the x-axis, wind speed on the y-axis. And so the red line represents the minute-by-minute changes in wind speed. And wind is highly variable, we know that. And the generators that are inside the wind turbines, generators are the piece of equipment that convert the rotational energy of the blades into electricity. The generators are designed to harvest energy from a narrow range of wind speeds, and that's, say, between 5 and 15 meters per second. So when the wind is blowing between these two blue lines, between 5 and 15, that wind power is efficiently converted into electricity. When the wind is blowing faster than the top blue line, that wind mostly has to be wasted to keep the generator and the blades from overspinning. And so it's not just a little bit of wind that gets intentionally wasted. Most of the wind that hits the blades, that turns the turbine, must be wasted to protect the equipment. And so why is this important? Because the intentionally wasted wind cost the wind industry billions of dollars of missed revenue every year. And if you were to add up the fleet of wind turbines across the planet, this is enough energy that could power New York City 6 times over. And for an entrepreneur in the clean energy space, and I've done this a few times, this missed wind is a tremendous business opportunity that we are tapping into. So it begs the question, why are generators inside the wind turbines so challenged to harvest wind energy? And to answer this question, it's interesting to go back to the beginning, to 1893, when Nikola Tesla first patented his induction generator. And his task at the time was to harvest energy from steady input streams, like the run of a river or steam, which could be controlled. And a testament to Tesla's brilliant innovation is that today, essentially all generators, including the ones that are in wind turbines, are derivatives of his brilliant design. But Tesla never intended for his generator to harvest energy from a variable input stream such as wind. So we think that having Tesla's generator or a version of it inside wind turbines is the wrong tool for the job. It's like eating soup with a fork. So here we have, whoops, sorry. So here we have some of our early prototypes that we've been building. And what we have done with our innovation is we're changing the shape of the generator and how the magnets are configured to enable it to harvest energy from a wider range of wind speeds. This chart is our entrepreneurial journey, so you can see where we're at. We're in this mid phase right here, where we have proved the concepts that we needed to prove, like you saw that video just in the previous slide. We're executing on a comprehensive patent strategy. We have our first utility non-provisional patent application filed. We've also filed our international PCT patent application, and there's and then we're filing continuances on other claims. So it's a comprehensive strategy that we're taking action on. And then we're also deep into conversation with our customers, and our customers are the big wind turbine manufacturers, GE, Siemens, Vestas, and we want to create generators that we can license the technology to them so that they can sell a more efficient technology to their customers. And now, as we're completing this mid phase, we're moving into optimizing the technology design so we can do field testing in early 2024. This is our leadership team. In addition to our R&D team, our technicians, and we have a world-class set of technology advisors. Dr. Iacovelli and I, we co-founded the company. Tony has been a prolific inventor his whole career, including that fuel cell device pictured there on the right, which is internationally patented as well. And his sweet spot, his love is electrical machines, generators, and motors. And perhaps he got that from his dad, who was not just a high school science teacher, but was also a small engine repairman on the side. And so by the time Tony was 10 years old, he was already taking apart and reassembling generators and motors. I am a repeat, successfully exited entrepreneur. I've always worked in the sustainability and clean energy space. One of my companies, FLS Energy, I started that in 2007. We were one of the very early utility scale solar companies, and we were earning $100 million in revenue by 2014, sold the company a year after that. Chris DeVault comes to us from the wind industry. He managed over $1 billion, he managed over $1 billion in wind energy assets for a major wind farm company, EDF. And that's just about it. We, as a company, we are about creating a fundamental shift in the value equation for wind. We believe that we have invented the technology that Nikola Tesla would have invented had he been tasked to harvest energy from a variable input stream. So we feel that we're carrying the torch that Nikola Tesla carried 130 years ago.
Carrying the torch and carrying it well. Thank you so much, Michael. I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry. I think that was the
No, that was
conclusion.
it. Thanks.
Awesome. I just wanted to make sure. Awesome. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think it was such an exciting. I think we have a really cool green tech presence right now on the line. I think it's super impactful work. So that's super helpful. Can you, for those who are unfamiliar with the space, can you talk a little bit about, and you mentioned GE and Siemens, how big do you think is the market for your technology?
So anywhere where there's every wind turbine has a generator in it, and all wind turbines have this challenge of a very narrow range of energy inputs that can be harvested. So even if it's a small residential or commercial scale wind turbine, it harvests energy from a narrow range of slow wind speeds, and as you get larger and larger, the utility scale, there's still a sweet spot, a narrow range of wind that can be harvested. So wherever there's a wind turbine, whether it's in front of the meter, behind the meter, offshore, onshore, we have the potential to create a generator to enable that wind turbine to harvest energy over a wider spectrum of wind speeds. So if the wind industry is already $100 billion market, and the generators are, say, 10% of the cost of a wind turbine, then you can see that this is a really huge market that we're entering.
Super exciting, and I think there are tons of broad applications even beyond that. But the wind turbine is such an important piece of the puzzle. And can you talk a little bit about the kind of competitive landscape? Are there any other folks in the space trying to tackle this problem?
So this idea of Miss Wind is a very large, well-known issue in the wind industry, and so there's various ways that the wind industry has been trying to address this problem. And the way that we are changing the shape of the generator and the way that we are configuring the magnets, our solution is unique. And so just at a simple level, a conventional generator is shaped like a cylinder. And so no matter where you are on the outside of that cylinder, as it spins, the velocity at the circumference is a single velocity, and that single velocity is pegged to a specific input wind speed. And so that's why a conventional generator harvests energy only from a narrow range of wind speeds. Our generator is conically shaped, like an ice cream cone. And so as that ice cream cone spins, as the copper wires spin inside of the magnetic field, the velocity at the circumference is faster at the wider end of the ice cream cone than the narrow end of the ice cream cone. And that differential velocity enables it to harvest energy over a wider range of wind speeds.
That is super helpful to differentiate yourself. I'm glad that other people are working in this space, but I think your application is really exciting. I'm going to combine a couple of questions here. I think that it makes sense. Of existing wind turbines, how long do they last until they would need to be retrofitted or replaced? And yeah, so basically, what's the lifetime of a wind generator, the current wind generator, and is replacement a target for your company?
Yeah, so by about 10 years, many wind turbines retrofit the drivetrain, the gearbox, the generator, the electricity conditioning equipment, and so that is a market for us. So for older wind turbines, to go to them as they're considering replacing their generator, to sell them or to license a more efficient generator. And I would say that is a stepping stone market for us. And so we will work with existing asset managers to in the retrofit market, in part to get to finish proving out the technology and to have runtime on our generators. But the big opportunity is to license the technology, is to prove out the technology and then to license it or sell the technology or sell the whole company to one of the big wind turbine manufacturers like GE or Siemens.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And just for a little bit of clarity, someone was talking about so specific differentiator for your generator. Can we just kind of like a 15-second little spiel, unless there's any secret knowledge that you don't want to share, but it's more than just the lifespan and the adjustable speeds. Can you just drill down for a quick moment, the big differentiator here?
The heart of the benefit is that our generator has the ability to intrinsically adapt to variable wind speed. And the technology behind it, in addition to the shape that I mentioned, is that instead of a very complicated magnetic field that is characteristic of conventional generators, our magnetic field is a clean radial magnetic field. It looks like the spokes of a bicycle, and because it's a clean radial magnetic field, that enables us to put the pieces in place so it can intrinsically adapt to changing wind speeds.
Perfect. That's exactly right. So no more than just, right now current turbines basically just operate at a breeze, but you can deal with breezes and gusts and all that extra energy that's being lost right now.
Right, and especially the conventional wind turbines, say after about 15 meters per second, they have to waste most of the energy to keep them from overspinning, which could damage the blades in the generator. And our design speed is not at 15 meters per second, but higher, say about 20 meters per second. And so there's an additional 5 meters per second of wind efficiently harvested enables us to tap into a huge amount of additional revenue, that enough energy to power New York City 6 times over, as I referenced in that previous slide.
That is perfect. Thank you so much for sharing those details. Thank you so much for all the questions that came in. I think that was super, super helpful. We are about halfway through our programming, so I'm going to go ahead and throw out a shameless plug here. You're on the line in our September demo day here at Netcapital. We're super excited about all 4 companies presenting. They're actively raising capital on the Netcapital platform. So you can go to netcapital.com and invest in these companies. You just heard from Nextpower 360 and Michael Shore. The link to that is inside the chat. I'm actually go ahead and re-add it here just in case folks might have lost it. So here's the link one more time. You can select that link and go directly into the invest flow and learn more about the opportunity. Or you can go directly to netcapital.com and search Nextpower 360, or you can go to netcapital.com/companies/Nextpower360. And that's who you just heard from. Right before Michael and Nextpower, you heard about Avadain, and the link to that is being added in there as well. That's netcapital.com/companies/Avadain, and that was Brad who spoke on that. So I did a little halftime recap just in case folks were late to the programming. But thank you so much, Michael, for sharing about Nextpower 360 and what you're doing in the energy space.
Thanks so much.
All right, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the questions that are coming in. Great engagement with the chat. And let's go ahead and keep the party going here. We are now going to hear from the team with Real Analytics. I'm going to go ahead and add a link to that into the chat. So we have Corey Yates and Alfonso on the line. I think, Corey, you're starting us off. Why don't you come on in and tell us about what you're building with Real Analytics?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks, Eric, for allowing us an opportunity to share more about our company. If you could give me the thumbs up that everybody can see my screen. Yes?
Yes, sir. Looks great.
Excellent. My name is Corey Yates, co-founder and CEO of Real Analytics. And by way of background, Real Analytics is a sports technology and data company. The problem that we're solving is really anchored around how the industry, the sports industry specifically, is measuring athletic ability. And if you think about the evolution of the 6'4", 235-pound athlete, he was once considered the biggest, slowest player on an NFL roster. And if you fast forward to today, that athlete at the same size, 6'4", 235 pounds, like DK Metcalf, is the biggest, fastest, strongest player and most athletic player on the field. The result is that teams are losing $18 billion because they're measuring athletic ability with what we call the basic 3. The stopwatch, the tape measure, and the scale. And this is causing a 67% miss rate in athletic ability. And most importantly, it's leaving talented athletes unnoticed. We're solving that problem with our AI-powered technology that does a couple of things. One, it unlocks new athleticism data for content creation that you see in the left-hand side. And this powers our in-game athleticism score that is utilized to enhance athletes' discoverability. Depending on where the athlete falls on a 100-point scale, determines how we project the player to the next level, whether it's high school to college or college to the NFL. And then we also provide context with the submetrics that make up the IGA score, so that athlete, coaches, and parents can see how he or she stacks up relative to their peers and also relative to NFL players when they were the same age. Our advantage is pretty significant, but I'm not going to drain this slide. I'm just going to call out a few key points. And it really starts with our technology. We are utilizing non-wearable computer vision technology to extract athleticism data from film versus our competition, who requires wearable devices. This gives us a significant cost advantage because we do not incur hardware development costs, manufacturing, or maintenance expenses. Also, it strengthens our data set. We have the ability to perform retrospective analysis on successful athletes from the past, dating all the way back to the late 1970s. And this, again, powers our in-game athleticism score, which has a predictive power that is unmatched in the industry. In fact, we have a 75% player projection accuracy rate, which is 3 times the industry average. And here's how it works. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. We create the athletic profile, upload the clip, and then the algorithm does the heavy lifting to produce the evaluation of the player. Here's a side-by-side comparison of our technology versus the gold standard, and that's next-gen stats that used at the NFL level. They calculated 21.5 in terms of the top-end speed of this player versus 21.8 within 1% accuracy using our technology. Our pre-commercial traction, we like to think of it as pretty significant. We've been able to establish proof of value with our MVP by adding clients such as TCU, Texas Christian University, who participated in the college football championship game last year. Go Frogs. And then this year, we're working with Coach Prime in Colorado, and we're helping them game plan. They're using our data to develop their game plans and identify matchup opportunities. And we also help them build their roster by leveraging our in-game athleticism score to help them with their 3-0 start so far this year. Some of our non-revenue traction includes being awarded a patent earlier this year. We've raised $120,000 through BIP Ventures, so we're a proud BIP venture portfolio company. Pepperdine University, they recognized us as a top 100 most fundable company. And then most recently, we've been able to increase eyeballs on our data to over 100 college football programs across the countries, across all levels. This is critically important to our strategy as we now look to penetrate the youth market, which is 40 times larger than the college football space. And as a result, we've launched a high school beta program that we're extremely proud of. The market opportunity, in short, is sizable. The US market in terms of the sports analytics space is valued at $2 billion, and it's growing at a strong double-digit growth rate over the next 5 years, almost 30%. We will be laser focused on the youth market, starting with the sport of football. Our business model has 2 verticals: performance analysis, anchored around our IGA score, and fan engagement, leveraging our short-form video content. If we double-click into our performance analysis vertical, this is all about monetizing our athletic data through mobile app, desktop. That's our B2C play. And that is all about subscriptions for parents and teams that want to access our data, and then distributing our data through an API. That's our B2B play, whereby media companies can license our data. And then again, helping athletes become more discoverable is all about giving them the ability to verify their speed and athleticism so that they can showcase their talent to college programs. Our second vertical is all about fan engagement, and this is monetizing our short form video content. And we can do that by licensing our rights to media companies, driving revenue in terms of advertising dollars and having a share of that from sports properties, and then sponsorships for national brands who are seeking to get into or get in front of the lucrative demographics such as Gen Z. And we'll wrap up with a short video of what that looks like.
All right, folks, here's the Real Analytics first half highlights, sponsored by Dick's Sporting Goods. In the first quarter, the Grayson offense was facing a 3rd and 11 from their own 19-yard line. Quarterback Jeff J.D. Davis throws along the right side to wide receiver Kylan Fox, who makes the grab and reaches 19.4 miles per hour on his way to the end zone. Touchdown Rams! And that is your Real Analytics first half highlights, sponsored by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's.
So in closing, we invite the investor community to join us as we scale a disruptive AI-powered technology that unlocks new athletic data from video. So with that, we'll open it up for questions and answers.
Thank you so much for that, Corey. I'm going to move right past the fact that you said go Frogs after your TCU took down Michigan in the semifinals last year. So we're going to move right past that. But we're going to dig into how impactful and what a great opportunity with Colorado and Coach Prime in terms of fan engagement. That's amazing. Congratulations on that. Um, I do want to dig in for a quick second. You talk about 75% player projection accuracy rate and how that's much higher than the industry standard. Can you share a little bit more details about what that represents?
Absolutely. So if you think about the hit rate, and this is defined as players who are on a roster that do not meet the program's expectation, and that will vary from program to program. The industry average is hovering around 24%. That's at the collegiate level. At the NFL level, because they're spending much more in terms of player evaluation, that number rises to about 33%. We're able to have a 75% hit rate primarily because we're starting with the answer in mind in terms of building our models, right? And so we went back and we studied those successful players that played at the highest level, that were all pro and Pro Bowl athletes. And we said, look, let's just reverse engineer these folks. And we use those measures to establish our thresholds by which we're evaluating prospects and determining how they project to the next level.
I love that. And now all of us who didn't make it pro, now we understand why. We just didn't have the data to support that we were qualified. So I'm going to go ahead and rely on that for the rest of my life. I appreciate that. Corey, you have your co-founder on the line in Alfonso, and I know you both played at the collegiate level and at different divisions. Alfonso, I'm not sure if there's anything you wanted to add about Real Analytics here before we move on to the next offering.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So we definitely both have college football playing experience. I played at Indiana University many moons ago. Was an All Big Ten linebacker. But I think as we talk about the opportunity with Real Analytics, and I'm sure many folks on the line can probably relate. If you have a child who is into sports, athletics, we all think that he or she can play at the next level, and it's actually shown that 50% of parents think that their kids can play at the next level. However, only 2% of kids receive scholarships from high school to college. And so what we're doing as we launch our products and services into the youth market, the high school, the teams and the players, is we're allowing athletes and parents and teams to get objective analysis on their athletic ability to see, how they compare to their peers and how they could potentially, where they can potentially play at the next level, and what they could potentially work on to make their goals and get to that next level.
Dang, I bent over backwards to welcome you in here, and you said, no, that was unrealistic expectations the whole time, Alfonso. That's what you came out here with. Dang,
no,
right.
no, not at all, not at all. We all have we all have our ceiling. Some of us hit the genetic lottery. Some of us did not. Didn't need it. But the opportunity's out there, and we all know that. We're willing to kind of spend some money to figure out if we can make it to that next level, and that's the market that we're going after here with Real Analytics.
Well, I thank you both for bringing true, transparent, understandable data and transparency and clarity to people's kind of expertise in the space. So I appreciate you both for hopping on the line. And as always, as I mentioned, you can go to netcapital.com/companies/real analytics, or you can select the link that I added into the chat where you can review the offering page, learn more, and if you're so inclined, go ahead and invest. Thank you so much, Corey and Alfonso.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to keep all of our panelists because at the very end, we're going to do closing remarks. Okay, so we're going to have all the folks circle back around and give us a little bit more details, but we're going to bring on our last issuer onto the line. Thank you so much, Richard, for joining us with Lightning Motors. Richard, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're building here?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. Thanks for having us on the presentation. So, Lightning Motorcycles is the premier manufacturer of electric motorcycles in the world. We build the most advanced technology in our motorcycles, and they go farther, they charge faster, they run, accelerate better, go faster, and provide an overall better rider experience than any of the other electric motorcycles.
And you have had, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the this slide's based on research from McKinsey. So it's a huge market. So in Southeast Asia, there's 45 million units a year sold. Um, the overall market for electrics is growing very rapidly. So typically, motorcycle technology follows automotive technology in a roughly 5 to 8 year range. So if you look at ABS on cars, on motorcycles, it's 5, 6 years later. Emissions controls, rider aids, etc. So, the electric car manufacturers are already disrupting the transportation industry, and we're now seeing that falling in electric motorcycles versus gas motorcycles. So the question is, what are we solving? Why haven't electric motorcycles taken a bigger market share in two-wheel transportation so far? And really, it comes down to 5 basic points. So, before Lightning, the performance really didn't equal the performance of a gas motorcycle. The electric motorcycle cost considerably more than a gas bike, and again, delivered less performance. The range was limited. The recharge took a great deal of time. Some of the manufacturers still are 3 or 4 hours to recharge. And then the product choices, again, were very limited compared to gas bikes. So how does Lightning solve those problems? So first of all, Lightning, as opposed to a lot of the other competitors in the market, has developed our engineering and technologies in-house. So we've created a vertically integrated modular platform that allows us to integrate new technology very quickly. And we've developed this through not only engineering and building our own bikes in-house, but also doing a whole series of engineering projects for other companies, ranging from fuel cell hybrid buses to boats, off-grid. Again, a whole series that has generated quite a bit of revenue for Lightning and allowed us to invest that money into our products. So what really sets Lightning apart? So we're the only electric vehicle company that we're aware of in the world at this point that can recharge from 10% to 80% in under 10 minutes. And again, that compares to hours for some of the other competitors. Our bikes have more power, more torque, and lighter weight than any of the other bikes on the market. One of our bikes, production bikes, achieved a top speed of 218 miles an hour and set a world record on the Bonneville Salt Flats for production motorcycles. And, we've leveraged AI to develop our bikes faster and to a higher level. So this allows us to, again, integrate new technology quicker than the competitors, gives us a shorter product time to market, and then it lowers our development costs. So we've been able to achieve on roughly $10 million what some of the competitors have spent over, several hundred million, and still not achieving what we have. So our team, we have a group of very experienced leaders. Myself, I've been involved in a series of successful exits, as well as Jojo, the co-founder. Richard Keller, very, very senior, experienced electrical engineer. He was involved in commercializing the military switch mode power supply and making that really a household product. Guido, our head of software, helped to build out the cloud infrastructure for Apple. He actually was one of our early customers and rode one of our 218s on his commute on a daily basis. And then after he exited Apple, he joined us to help drive our technology. And Dave has a very varied background in marketing, from Borg Warner to Remy, and was actually a test driver in the Corvette development program for General Motors. So why invest in Lightning? So, as opposed to a lot of the other early stage companies, Lightning has fully developed product that we're delivering that are in consumers' hands, and they're using them every day, and they have a lot of experience with them. So we're raising money at this point, not to develop the product, not to develop the market, but to meet the market demand that's already there. So currently, we can't build enough bikes to supply the demand that we have, and so we're raising this to scale, to invest in the tooling and the people and the infrastructure to meet the demand. And we are the leader in electric two-wheel technology. Nobody's product rivals ours in any of the key metrics that motorcyclists evaluate their bikes on. And then electric motorcycles, it's a very large and growing market. There are over 8 million motorcycles registered in the US, hundreds of thousands sold. And really, worldwide, we're a small market compared to some of the other markets that we can address. And again, we have a very passionate and experienced leader and core engineering and development group. So yeah, any questions? And we'd be happy to dive in a little farther.
Yeah, we have some questions coming in already. Thank you so much for that. And so can you tell us a little bit about the company's ability to go from a good invention to mass production and marketing? Good question.
Yeah, so we have been low production, low volume production for a few years now. So rather than forging and casting injection molding, we're doing a hand-built carbon fiber and CNC aluminum billet parts. So by switching over to higher volume production methods, we significantly reduce our cost of production and speed up the production. So that's really what the focus is to move to volume production methods with our already proven product.
Fantastic. And congratulations on hitting that record speed. 218 miles an hour is just lightning fast. Yes, I did that on purpose. Can you talk a little bit about the kind of the international markets? You said, US is kind of just tip of the spear. Where do you see the next expansion from there? And again, big asterisks in that the future is uncertain.
Yeah, so we've spent quite a bit of time investigating the other markets. And because of some of the success we've had in winning the world championship FIM race at Le Mans, winning the race at Pikes Peak against 120 gas competitors and setting a series of world records, we've had about 100 international distributors that have approached us and asked to carry our product. So again, the bottleneck that we have is how fast can we produce the bikes. So all around the world right now, there's a lot of both push from the government to reduce emissions as well as pull from consumers. With electric motorcycles, there's no clutch, there's no transmission, you don't have the heat, you don't have the vibration. And most motorcyclists, when they get a chance to experience that, it's really an eye-opening experience for them.
I imagine it is, and it's clear that when it comes to speed, electric is the answer. Formula One largely relies on electric motors at this point. Can you thank you so much for sharing those details, by the way, about the international expansion. Last little bit here, can you talk a little bit about what are your kind of near-term successes that you see on the horizon? You talked about all the great work you've done and proving that the car can be built and it's fast and people are excited about it. What are you looking forward to in the near term in terms of traction or success?
Yeah, so again, the near term is to move to volume production methods, invest in the forgings, castings, and injection molds, beef up our staff and our facilities, and start cranking the bikes out and meeting the demand that we have. So it's fairly straightforward from our perspective. The product's been out in the market with consumers experiencing it, using it every day, and now it's really the focus is to scale.
And that's a great time, a great place to be for a company. So thank you so much, Richard. And I know your team member JoJo's on the line as well, so I'll thank her as well for joining. That was the conclusion of those questions. I'd love to turn to the closing remarks last little bit, and we'll go reverse order here. So as I mentioned earlier, we've listened to 4 companies present here. We heard from Avadain to start, NextPower 360, Real Analytics, and now just Lightning Motorcycles. Let's go in reverse order. So I'll start with you, Richard. Why is now the perfect time to go to netcapital.com and hit that invest button and join the Lightning Motorcycles family?
You know, the window of opportunity is now to scale electric motorcycles. You know, there are some companies in the electric vehicle, electric car market that have had huge success and have become very, very valuable companies. And that's going to happen now for electric motorcycles as well. And we believe that our product, our technology, and our team, we're the best company positioned to have that rapid growth and scale and success. Again, thanks for having us on here today.
The pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much, Richard and JoJo with Lightning Motorcycles. Again, the link is in the chat, or you can go directly to NetCapital and search Lightning Motorcycles. Okay, last little bit, since we're a little bit past the 1 p.m. mark. Let's go with Real Analytics, Corey and Alfonso. Why is now the perfect time to go to netcapital.com and invest in Real Analytics?
Yeah, thanks, Eric. I'll give you 3 quick reasons. One, we're solving a high financial impact problem affecting sports teams to the tune of $18 billion, while at the same time helping athletes realize their dream of playing at the next level. 2, our IP solving this problem is patented, and we also have first movers advantage, and we enjoy a significant cost advantage. And then lastly, we have meaningful traction, right? We've got several proof points that serve that the time is now to invest before sales really take off and scale. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, you can go to netcapital.com and search Real Analytics. That's REEL-Analytics. Thank you so much for the team, Corey and Alfonso. Michael Shore, we're going to keep the party going with you. Yep. Why is now the time to go to NetCapital and invest in NextPower 360?
Well, climate change is one of the great challenges of our time, and wind energy is a key to helping humanity rise to the challenge of climate change. Our technology helps wind generators harvest energy from a broader range of wind speeds that can make every wind turbine more cost effective. We're all about changing the economics of wind turbines, and because it's $100 billion market, this is there's a great opportunity for our company and for our investors. So we hope people will join us for the journey.
What a star-studded cast. Thank you so much for that, Michael Shore. Again, you can go to netcapital.com and search NextPower 360, where you can learn more and invest. Last but certainly not least, Brad, why is now the perfect time to go to netcapital.com and invest in Avadain?
Well, I'll tell you, Eric, graphene is taking off. Demand for graphene is exploding. George Gilder says graphene will be worth 4 times more than Amazon, Google, and Tesla combined. Our high-quality graphene will disrupt many industries and transform thousands of products. Today, more than $84,000 was invested so far in Avadain. Thank you to all of our loyal investors, and thank you to NetCapital. Avadain is closing soon. Here's the chance to invest in the material of the 21st century.
Well, that was a polished group. I hope everybody had a blast. Thank you so much to all of our attendees, over 50 folks on the line asking very thoughtful questions. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you to all of our panelists representing great companies. I didn't do my shameless plug for you yet, Brad. You can go to netcapital.com and search Avadain, where you can go ahead and learn more and invest. Can you join me in thanking our panelists? I hope everybody had a great time learning more, and it was a pleasure having you. Thank you for working with NetCapital.
Thanks, you, Derek. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye now.
Take care.
You.